So let me give you an idea of how my brain works when I go about writing a song. If I take this E chord, right? That's an E power chord. It's just the octave from this. And I just start fiddling around with rhythms, right? So what I do, all I did was I took a simple rhythm, ya cha cha cha, ya cha cha, ya ya cha, right? And I added one, and it's one chord. And then I just moved one finger. So I changed the interval from perfect fifth to a minor sixth. I added rhythm to it, and I got an opening riff. Okay? Then maybe I can move it down a fret. It's that simple. So the idea is that I take, when you're composing music, you want to start with a simple chord, for example, or a simple rhythm that you have in your head. Take that rhythm and then just tweak the chord a little bit, and all of a sudden you've got enough for an entire riff. Let me give you another example. Let me go to detuning real quick. Here's a riff that I wrote a long time ago. All right, let's break that down a little bit. The opening basically is all I did when I remember the thought process I was going through with writing this song. All I did was basically I'm sliding up from the flat 7 to the 1 in D, and then a minor third above that. So I just took a simple D scale, and we're going to get into more of this later in the course, but you take a simple D minor scale, and the 7th and D minor is flat, so, and then of course the 3rd is flat. So I took 3 notes from a D minor scale and wrote the opening riff of this. Now this note is D, this note is D, right, and C, and of course your F, and then I just started tweaking those notes. I said, what can I do with those 3 notes? Well, I can add this. I can slide up, or I could just go. Okay, that's another thing I could do. Sliding versus just playing the note. Instead of that, I did. So I just just tweaked it a little bit, gave it a little bit more character. And then I said, okay. Now instead of, I added a note. I simply added a 4th above my D and then above my C. So I went from having to having. So you see how it's basically a 4-bar riff. The first bar and the second bar are the same. Okay. And then I have, now the first bar repeats. Then I said, for the 4th bar, I want to do something different than what I did in the 2nd, so how can I tweak to something different? And I said, well, and I'm not going to go into all those notes, but the idea is that music has this phrasing effect. Okay, you see how my first bar is the same as my 3rd bar. My second bar is going to be my 4th bar is going to be a little bit different than my 2nd. But basically, if you break it down theoretically, there's not a lot happening in that riff. the first measure is the same as the third measure. Then I took the second measure, which was, and I changed it to, okay, so that was my opening riff, and then I just said, man, I have all this stuff going on in the front. Why don't I just do something simple for the basically what I'm going to sing over, okay? All right, let's break that down. Same concept. First measure is the same as the third. Second measure does something a little bit different. And the fourth measure is a variation of the second. Let me break that down for you, okay? I went. So that's just simple power chords, but in the chorus, in the key, when in drop D tuning, you don't fret them like a power chord. You just bar it, okay? So I went. That's our first phrase. Second phrase. So instead of going, all I did was, so I kept the same rhythm, just changed the chorus. Now, fourth measure, I'm going to repeat the first. Third measure, I'm going to repeat the first. See how that was exactly the same as the first? And now, okay, and I just stopped it there. And then it goes on in some other stuff that we're not going to go into. But what I want to show you is that these patterns of basically taking like this first phrase, the ya-da, dee-da-da-da, dee-da-da, taking that phrase, and then it repeats again. So when you're figuring out songs, look for these patterns, because in pop music and metal music and rock and roll, these patterns just normally occur all the time. I mean, you basically have an opening riff normally, and then some type of a verse, and then a chorus, a bridge, a verse 2, and another chorus. And so if you kind of think of these things in blocks and not try to think of the whole song, trying to figure it out by yourself, or if you're writing your own music, not try to think, I'm going to write an entire song. Just think, I'm going to write this riff. That's a little building block. Then I'm going to write this other riff. That's another building block. Hey, can I put those two together? I can. Now, how can I vary that to create a bridge? Just, tweak it a little bit and then move on. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of how you can take these theory concepts that we've talked about and start to apply them to write your own music. And this is just some of my thought process that I go through. Hopefully that'll help you. So good luck. Congratulations for making it through the course, the first 4 DVDs at least, and press on. Thanks so much.